Nice. Very nice. Yeah, a lot of room.
I tell people that you can get off 95 and drive straight over here in less than 2 minutes. You're right.
Oh
at the
yeah.
building. So,
Yeah.
But some people that most of our customers are traveling anyways and dropping off. Like I said, Norfolk, Virginia Beach, DC. Quite a bit of bikes going out of the DC area for us.
Oh yeah.
Yes, sir.
Cool.
Maryland. I mean, you'd be surprised. I never thought. I've been doing this a long time, but I never thought in the world that people would travel as far as they do to get something.
Oh yeah.
Like this.
Yeah.
A lot of you see like on the ends down here, these are all basically getting dyno tunes or dropped off the tunes. So a lot of them are other shops or Harley dealerships.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir. We do a lot of them. We do a couple of the dealerships near us, and then some of them down in South Carolina. So we see quite a bit of bikes like that.
Okay.
This one was just in an accident, so now it's getting ready to get taken back apart. Chad repainted it. It does
Okay.
really good work.
How far is that from here?
4 hours.
Okay.
Does really good paint work.
Wow.
It's really high-end paint jobs and it's flawless. He does a really good job actually. One beside it's a little street race nitrous bike. And we move on. We don't do a lot of Sportsters, but like this one here, we've done Sportsters for years, but you just don't see them as much anymore. This guy bought this bike in 1996, brand new, and he wanted it restored basically. He wants to. He's 60 years old, and he said, "I want to do a wheelie and ride it to the beach again." So that's what he wants to do. So it's a complete new engine in it.
Oh wow!
Brakes, wheels, powder coated frame, and it's coming back along. On the side, it's getting a big motor in it. Sitting up here, these motors here are getting prepped. Some of them are going out.
Okay.
This one here is getting one in. This one's getting a transmission now. We do trikes. So we got trike with the dyno. Obviously, we do trikes too on the dyno. So that one there is that actually we figured out. I don't think the guys knew it, but it was a flood damage bike.
It's what? Oh, flood damage?
Yeah, the transmission was incredible. One of the ends getting a big bore kit, stroker crank. The one in the middle's already got one in it. Right now it's getting a service job done. This one and all the ones on the ends are in here for dyno. The dyno here too. This was another red dyno we just did. Repaint the whole bike back black. This was a 21 CVO. The very first bike we ever broke 180 horsepower on pump gas. So
oh wow! Really cool this is your bike?
No, this is a gentleman out of Wilson, North Carolina. We actually did this bike when it was basically new. So he's been riding it since 21 or 20, riding it like that. But he had a little high-speed wreck, so getting it back together now. That one. This one obviously motor, same thing. Dyno tune on this one too. This one here is a turbo bike. We just got tunes going out to Raleigh. This one's from Palm Beach here. This one's getting a Max EC conversion on
Florida?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
We actually taking on like some other shops work too that are now deciding they don't want to. Once you get to a certain age, I guess you don't want a bunch of bikes in your shop. So
yeah,
in this situation, that's what this one's for. So it's an E85 bike, and the gentleman that owns it is in his 60s, and he wants to run 9-second pads. So that's what we want to do.
Oh, okay. Wow.
This one's from another shop here. It's Pro Charge. Tuning it. This one's getting tuned in cam. Several of these have already got cam jobs done. They're prepped for the dyno, so we'll get them set up for me, and otherwise I'll just continually dyno. A lot of times I'll do a lot of dynos on weekends when no one's here, and I can just stay on the machine all alone. Nobody stops me. This is my little personal project, turbocharged. It was a 21 street glide, but it would be a 130 cubic inch turbocharged race bike. We're going to run that next year. The one on the very end is the Honey Bun bike that we've been working for about the last 2 years, and they actually just won the championship on that bike. Pro Charge, world's fastest supercharged Harley.
Oh yeah?
Tiger. Yes sir. Yeah, it's really a cool deal. Really great folks to deal with too. And we do, like on the dyno, you'll see we do big wheel baggers still, so we've got the machine set up so we can go up to a 32 inch front wheel on the dyno, where a lot of shops aren't set for that. We do trikes in the current family. Trikes, and we've got this set up so we've got multiple different chocks now for the bigger wheels, because we're getting such a popular thing right now with the big wheel. This is a 170 horsepower bike. We actually just finished this one, the motor in it.
What's that, like a 42?
It's actually a 32. Still big.
It is? Wow.
Yes, sir. 34 looks like it's insanely big. But,
looks humongous.
Yes, sir. But this one's on air ride and all too, which is, never thought in my life people would want a 170 horsepower bike with a big wheel on it, but it's becoming popular,
Yeah.
We don't do a lot of the audio stuff. We do we stock sound digital and stuff like that. So we'll do 2 and 4 speaker systems, But once it gets past that, we've got a local guy that we actually does really good work, and we really trust him, and he's excellent. So we send all our big jobs, 6 or 8 speaker systems, woofers and stuff like that to him. It's more or less, we can't do everything, and every time you go to a shop and they do everything, they're probably full of it, because it's a lot harder than you think. In our situation, but the dynos is where we love to do. Love tune. It's just, I don't know. It's been my passion forever. I like it. I've had a dyno since 1997.
Yeah.
This is the third dyno I've got. This is an IX machine, so you can do trikes and, you know, current model stuff. So we really specialize in the M8s and the late model, especially 21 and laters. We're doing a lot of those lately. There's a lot of dealerships. It's incredible that people buy brand new bikes and those cams and tunes, big motors. We just did a 186 horsepower brand new 23 Road Glide the other day, man. Dropped it off here and got it done.
Wow.
So yeah, so they're really fun.
Yeah.
And you know, people want the most they can get out of the bikes. And I guess back in the day, everybody was so worried about warranty constantly, and now you know, they're just more interested in the making themselves happy, you know, and enjoying the bike.
Yeah.
You know? And you can still do that and ride them. You're not stuck in your town or just race bikes and stuff. You can take a 180 horsepower bike and ride around.
Yeah.
We've got people with 160, 70 horsepower bikes that go cross country, you know, yearly. So that's very capable of doing that these days. Or in the past, that was, you know, never. I still remember the first time we made 100 horsepower and we thought that was something, you know, back in the 90s, you know, that was something special, you know. Now it's incredible. We've got 250 horsepower pump gas turbo bikes you can ride on the street on, you know.
Yeah.
This will make well into 300 too.
So that's your bike?
This is my project, and it's gonna sound crazy, but I started it December 20th, which I bought it last year. It was wrecked. It was a totaled 21 Street Glide. It's got 3,000 miles on it, and we've cut the frame. I mean, fixed the frame where it was damaged. We're actually doing our own in-house. We're doing our own plenium now, so we're gonna have a billet intake plenium right here.
Okay.
Built by a really good friend of mine, Steve Vickers, and we did a 62 millimeter turbo on it. That's a complete built motor, 130-inch motor, carbon fiber wheels. We're building the whole subframe on the back out of aluminum. That's why I'm tying it up longer. I want it done exactly the way I want it done, you know?
Yeah.
But my goal is I'm not going to be able to ride this one to Rockingham or something like that and back. There's no way. You can't ride it 3 hours. It only holds 3.5 liters of fuel, and it gets really bad gas mileage. But I want to be able to ride it to the Sonic. Get me a drink, ride it back here. Just to show it off on a 300 plus horsepower bike, and you know, and still ride on the street. It's going to be neat. Max ECU fuel injection system on it. So definitely something I've been wanting to do for a while. This one over here is a bike that we've been working for 2 years. This started out in a box when they brought it here. It's a really cool bike. This is the Honey Bun is what they call it. And this is the world's fastest Pro Charge bagger right here.
Oh yeah.
This is a 124 motor with a B1 Pro Charger on it. We built our own intake scoop on it. Max ECU, 70 inches long. So it's the same wheelbase as this bike over here. Great guy, great group, great, excellent. I would call them family at this point in time. I love them. Love working with them, enjoy them. Very fun. My kids enjoy it. You know, where drag racing in the past was very financially expensive for me when I was racing top fuel and stuff like that. And the kids were young, and it got to a point where I was gone more than I was home, and it was tough. This right here has been absolutely enjoyable. I've actually had a great time with them. They treat us like family, and they let us kind of do things sort of the way we like to do them, and it's really paid off. This bike went from running high nines to recently went at 847 at Rockingham, and then last week in testing it went a 532 in the 8th mile, so it's going to run 830s in a quarter now. Yeah, which would put us in the top 10 fastest passes in history if we could do it on this old bike, which is really cool for a really small. That's a bolt-on supercharger, which is meant to be like on a 160 horsepower bike, and this bike makes 265 right now. So, but you can still ride it around. You can take this bike and ride it up and down the street, and you know you can't go too far on it because again it doesn't hold. But this one only holds 2.5 liters of fuel. We put a smaller tank in this bike, but I absolutely enjoyed it. Never thought we would. Working for somebody else, but it don't feel like work at all. Honestly, it's fun.
Yeah, awesome.
Yes, sir. The most of what we do is we do a lot of dynos. We do a lot of M8 jobs. You know, that's pretty common. And current model, late model twin cams. So I'd say 6-speed twin cams. Not that I turn down or treat people different. You know, nothing like that. But it's more difficult sometimes to retool and set up for earlier bikes. You know, even though back in the day I would do shovels and iron heads and stuff like that, it's really difficult for us now to manage those. So we do have a few in the off season that we do, but they're generally clients that we've been dealing with for a long time, and I know them very well. You know, we've got one coming from Maryland in December, but I've been working for this man for 10 years, so I know him very well, and you know, so it'll be a great job, and it's going to be.
What bike? What engine?
It's a shovel. So as I say, so we don't. That's other than that. That would be about the gist of our early style work like that. So most of what we're doing is this. We do about 260 dynos a year on average for the
Oh,
last
wow.
5 years, so that's pretty common for us. Last year we were a little higher, at like 277. You know, I'd say if you're riding a Gold Wing or something like that, they can sit still.
Exactly.
That's a
Yeah,
wonderful
yeah.
engine. I would not
Exactly.
never bash on a Gold Wing or anything
No.
to do them. They're wonderful.
I had a few, so yeah.
I rode one of the new ones with the automatic. It was
Oh, yeah?
incredible. Yeah, I was impressed.
With the DCT,
Really neat.
yeah.
But it does. You lose the connection with the bike. You know?
Yeah,
I love the
yeah.
sound and the feel, and I just think that's what sold Harleys
Yeah.
for all these times, and that's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
still sells them to this day. And I hope they don't change that.
Yeah.
I really do. I love liquid cooled is a wonderful for engineering side of it. It's a great way of fixing a motorcycle, but it would dramatically change the bike and the way it
Yeah.
feels and handles and sounds.
Yeah.
So
So what do you think about? I know Harley makes a is it a 6-quart oil pan?
5-quart generally.
Five?
So yes, 1 quart. Well, on the MH you can do. I think they got a 6-quart, but I've tested the 5 quarts on the twin cams, and I don't know that it's a bad thing. It's eventually the oil temperature is always going to maintain its same temperature.
Yeah.
But yeah, you would probably have maybe a little less breakdown of the oil, having more oil.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll see that like Audis and stuff like that now hold 8 quarts of oil in a small
Yeah,
3-liter car. You know, so there's an advantage to it, I'm sure. But
Right.
I think, and I've preached this forever, I think the best thing you can do is change your oil more often. You know, maintaining good oil changes. You know, I encourage people to learn how to change their own oil. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a wonderful thing. Do it correctly. Changing the oil is one of the best things to physically do. You know,
Yep.
there's lots of good oils out there. People's social media will just go crazy over oils, and
Yeah.
you know, here we use generally 90% of jobs are either Bel Ray or Harley oil, and we keep both in stock. So we use
Okay.
Harley Sin 3, and we use Harley Mineral Base, and we use Bel Ray. I'd say most of our clients now, since maybe 17, have used Bel Ray oil. It has
Okay.
a really high flash point. It works really well. I always explain to people, I say, have you ever cooked with olive oil or something and overheated it?
Yeah.
You know, in a frying pan, accidentally, you know, I do it all the time. I'll
Yeah, you
put it
smoke
on,
it.
and you
Yeah.
do, and it will never come back. And not
Right.
only does it turn black and dark, pick it up with your hand and let it just drip out of your fingers. You'll see the viscosity's broke down. It's become
Right.
thin. Harley oil, olive oil does the same thing.
Yeah.
The difference is when you got a Chevy Silverado, the oil maintains a temperature all the time. And whether you know, pretty much you're in Arizona or Michigan, it's going to pretty much maintain its own temperature. Harley oil can get astronomically hot when you sit still. You know.
Yeah.
I love the wall ride and stuff at DC, but I saw some. You know, you'll see some oils that are unbelievable when they get back.
Yeah.
So, you know, we encourage people then to switch back over to, say, a minimal oil or more affordable oil. Put a black oil filter, cheapest oil filter you can buy on there, and just flush your oil. You know, ride the bikes 500 to 1,000 and drain it, change it, you know, and just get the oil back, and you'll see it.
So not a big fan of what's the big name? The expensive oil.
Logistically, it's wonderful, and many, many things in this industry you'll see on paper, which is wonderful. Great products on paper. But working on Harleys every day, I'd be honest with you, I don't think I've ever seen a worse oil.
Yeah.
It just breaks down so fast. It just turns to, I don't understand. Yeah, there's no way. There's no way possible I would ever do that. Never.
Yeah.
I've seen
And that's what I've used twice now. I just go with season. You know what I mean? And I have a few bikes, so it's not like I'm putting 5,000 miles on the bike.
Right.
You know, at about 3,000, 4,000 max, I'll switch it out.
I've seen the testing and I've watched it, and trust me, the guys come through selling it and they try to, you know, pitch me on it. They've got the ball bearing test with the pressure, and whatever test that they're doing, I don't believe they're a malicious company. I don't believe they're a bad company. I don't believe at all. I believe the problem lies in the air-cooled engine. It's an antiquated engine. I love them. We love them. It's what my children go to college with. It's what my family is. You know, it's how we have what we have is the Harley engine. So me calling it antiquated is not me bashing it. I own three of them myself, and I love them.
No, I know it.
But in that oil, I have, you know, I'll tell you this. A really good engineer, a friend of mine, explained to me with Harley, it's the same with all companies. When they increase these mileage intervals on all vehicles, it's not because the oil has become better or the vehicle is that much better. A lot of times it's based on the fact of the carbon footprint that the federal government mandates. You know what I mean? So
Gotcha.
if you'll see that your transmission oil says 20,000 miles to change your transmission oil. If you read your book, I would never do that. Although the transmission oil is probably the most least likely oil to change in a Harley because it doesn't really break down like that.
Okay.
Alternators on these current bikes are 50 to 55 amp alternators. And then you have a 1,000-pound bike. Well, if you and your wife are heavier and you got big audio on it, all these other accessories, the bike becomes heavier and heavier and heavier. It dramatically changes the performance of the bike. But what it also does is creates more heat. So you'll see primaries where people are sliding the clutch, pulling off on these big heavy bikes, trikes. The oil in the primary will be pitch black and really low mileage. So my personal opinion, I know there may be even other oils out there that are wonderful. I just hadn't tried. I've tried Lucas, and I think it's a great oil. Mobil 1 is what I use in my truck, but in the Harleys, I've seen it. I can always tell when you disassemble a motor. It discolors items like the oil pumps and rocker shafts, rocker arms and stuff like that. Stuff that that won't even come off real good with a sonic cleaner. So it's almost leaves a residue behind.
I got you.
And it may be, like you said, I don't believe it's a malicious company. I don't believe at all that they're lying to you. I think it's they have a really neat sales tactic to how it works. It's like a rainbow vacuum cleaner. We've all bought rainbows, and if you had a rainbow, it's still good from 1992. It's a wonderful vacuum, but they sell it by sending people out into the world and explaining the product, building value in the product.
So they're marketing.
Bel-Ray, we switched to Bel-Ray in 2007 at the dealership, and we did that because of the higher flash point. It carries a European rating. It's a great oil. It started really with transmissions because the first 6-speed bikes were so noisy. We started with a thicker gear oil, and it worked, and it sounded really good. Matter of fact, the vendor came in that day and he says, put a quart in any bike you want in the shop, and if the customer's not happy with it, I'll pay personally to have it removed and put Harley oil back in it, pay your labor and everything to change the oil. The guy rode the bike 10 minutes and came back and said, I don't want my money back. He didn't pay anything. He got a free quart of oil and a free oil change, but basically it sold me on it too because I started using it. And then we went out on our own.
So any specific Bel-Ray?
Well, I mean, they've got an 85 140 gear oil. It's made for it, a high fluid oil for the transmission, and that's what we use in everything. It's a very good oil, really nice shifting. It will not, even the heavier transmission oil doesn't make the transmission shift harder. It doesn't make the transmission hang, or because we don't have, they're not synchronized transmissions like a car. You can't go from fifth to first when you sit in a stoplight. Where new riders don't realize that, they'll pull up. You can't shift like that. The bike has to be rotating really to shift. So, a lot of times what you've found in the past was if you put really thick oils on them, a lot of times they would kind of hard to shift on decel or anything like that. Nothing like that. They're wonderful. Redline. Redline's great oil. Excellent oil. Actually, they sponsored me for a few years.
That's what I'm using now.
Redline is incredibly great oil. I would no downfall of Redline. Nothing. Golden Spectro. Excellent oil. I've never seen an oil that's... I love Golden Spectro. For us, it's more or less, we do a lot of high performance bikes, so we're looking for something that works for a customer who wants to leave here with a 160 horsepower bike and go to Vegas and back.
I got you.
So we get to try different oils and get to see that, and Bel-Ray did a great job for us, and they're a great company to deal with. So we do buy Harley. Like I said, I buy 50-gallon drums of Harley oil because I still use. We have customers that want to stick with nothing but what they've always ran. And
the Sin 3. What do you think about ATF in your primary?
We run ATF in certain bikes only, like the performance stuff. The one thing we have with the ATF is noisy primary chains and stuff like that, because it does have it's a thinner oil. Bel-Ray again is what we use in the primaries on those bikes. It still looks like ATF, matter of fact. And honestly, I have my personal Road King oven makes 194 horsepower on pump gas. You can ride it around. And I have no problem with clutch slippage or anything like that on that bike. These bikes run ATF because of that ton of clutch slip they have. We intentionally slip the clutch to manage the bike as it's going on the track. So all of these race bikes with the Gen 2 style clutches run ATF in them anyways. And I know guys that love ATF. We run ATF in the Ironhead Sportsters and stuff for years. Shovels and stuff. It's a good oil. But the difference with that is a shovel that weighs 555 pounds, 600 pounds, and we're talking about a 1,000-pound Harley. The compensator's so much bigger. There's a lot more wear and tear in that primary because of the weight of the bike. A lot of clutch slippage going on there when you're trying to slide and pull off from stoplights and stuff. So we use Bel-Ray primarily on that, and and on the transmission and the engine oil, honestly. So really a great look out of it. I'm a big fan of it.
So stick with Bel-Ray on the primary, and I can keep the Redline.
Yeah, Redline's great.
And then Bel-Ray in the engine?
Yes. Redline's great oil, and they're great folks.
All right.
I won a national championship back in 2003, and they sponsored me, and I loved it. I used it in everything, so I still think it's great oil. It's great oil. Okay. For us and our vendors, it just, I stick with one. If a company takes care of us, I'm not going to leave them for nothing. I just stick with them. Now, if there's a product that's absolutely hands down better, then there's no question you have to go to that. You don't have a choice in this market. But sometimes people get brand, switch up just because of a brand or something cool, and if you don't see any major gains out of it. But the Redline transmission oil, that shockproof oil is what you're using. That's good oil. Excellent. You still, if you do a transmission job, you can always tell, which you can obviously tell from the color of it, whether it's pink or the green, the heavy. is how much you have to use a whole can of brake cleaner really to clean the transmission up. You know, before we even want to go in, I don't want it going in the sonic cleaner or going in the parts washer with that stuff on. We get it off. Where you can take Harley Sin 3 or something like that, it just pours right off the gears. You know, it doesn't stick to the gears like that. The Bel-Ray Hyploid does stick to them really well. You can see it if you actually turn the gearbox with the top off. You'll see the gears grow if you spin it with your hands. Or it sticks to the gears. It's really neat looking, you know.
Yeah, cool.
You know, on our brand new builds, when we build a new engine, we actually run Rotella in them, all of them.
Okay.
We got 1540 Rotella, which is just a nice diesel oil. They don't leave this place with the Rotella on, nothing does. But I buy it to break them in, to seat them in, to get them warm, to do my heat cycles, to go on the dyno, to get off the dyno, they get switched right back over to a mineral-based 2050 Bel-Ray. That's how they leave here. And we recommend you change them between 500. We've switched that over the last year or two, you know, maybe 2 years. We've kind of mandated that. What we actually do is just incorporate it in your build now. So you already get a first oil change. I know I can see it. We cut the filter. We'll look in to make sure the filter, we don't see any metal or anything debris in there. Everything's happy. And that oil does seat rings in really well like that too, so we don't have any issues out of that. And it handles the temperature, so I wouldn't run that thin of oil in, you know, nothing that wasn't at a racetrack or something like that. You know, just.
It's not made for motorcycles. Did they come out with the motorcycle?
Well, Shell is who makes Sin 3 oil, so it is made by Shell for Harley. It's a good oil. It's nothing wrong.
Yeah,
yeah, it's a great
oil.
Okay. But the Rotella oils, they don't make a heavy enough oil, the 2050 based oil or something like that. You know, I know certain guys out there like thinner oils. I don't know enough about it to say I do. We run zero weight oil in race bikes and stuff like that. But when it comes to street, there's a happy medium that has to be met.
Yeah,
they're going to get hot. The more power they make, they're going to create more heat. The heavier you make it, the more heat they're going to create. There's just a fine line you got to work with. So having a good oil, I would not recommend any of these big 160, 70, or 80 horsepower bikes riding 5,000 mile oil changes anyways. You know, if I go to bike week, I'm going to change my oil when I get back. But change it yourself. You know, you don't have to take it to a local dealership and spend $500 on an oil change or something like that. You can change your own engine oil. It's easy to do. Don't classify engine oil as services though. It's a difference, you know. So people that just change their engine oil and don't do anything else to their bike doesn't mean they've been serviced, and then they'll make a bad name for Harleys when they have a bunch of clutch issues and problems and clutch cables out of adjustments. So just like we're talking about with yours, the hydraulic bikes you don't have to deal with that, but on cable bikes it does need to be taken care of. And just like lubing those cables, how much better that bike will feel having a nice easy clutch cable. You know, where if you get on that bike and you were a guy that rode BMWs or something, you'd say, well, Harleys are terrible, the clutch cable, you can't pull it in. Well, that's it's not the case always. It's just a lack of services in certain areas. You know, we use Magnum shielding cables on 99% of the stuff that's in this shop. I love Magnum's, great cables, and Barnett, great cables. Nothing wrong with either one of those. Outside of that, we don't deal with any other cable. Nothing off Amazon, nothing off. There's a difference in quality, no question.
What brand is that again?
Magnum. They actually make Harleys like your CVO cables and your Brady cable stuff sold out of the catalog. They're all made by Magnum. It's a really good company. Excellent people to deal with. We have a really cool kit where you can actually just put these fake cables on the bike, and it's got all the measurements on them. So we'll have them on special bikes or real tall bars or anything. We specifically order the cables exactly the length we want and how we want. What we want, 90 degree, 45, whatever you want. Just a nice look, and it makes a difference. If you're going to sit on that bike all day long every day, you're going to be looking at what's in front of you, and that's those bars and those cables. You know, and it's important to do it that way. You know, some of these baggers come in getting a 12, 14, 16-inch bar. You can just pretty much know exactly what they need. But anybody doing specialty bars, any of these really, you know, the waybacks or any sort of beach bars or drag bars. I always had eight fingers on all my bikes. Even my little street glide I race and stuff, I love eight fingers on it. It's just kind of always been cool. You know, eight fingers, they stand the test of time. That ain't going nowhere.
Which is your bike here?
I got a white road glide here. I got a black street glide, and I've got the turbo bike here. I got a 23 ST here, this white one. We're actually getting ready to put our cam in that one. I just did Chromeworks sent me a pipe, and S&S has sent me a CNC manifold and breather kit and all to put on the bike. And we did our own cam over the last month. We hadn't even posted about it yet. 478 lift, or 477 lift, I'm sorry. We do a lot of dynos, so I get to see everybody's cam out there pretty much. And with the dynos, we get to try all different cams. What we did is we did 6 prototype cams to test, and we ended up choosing the cam that we have in there now, and it's excellent. So most cases 125 to 130 horsepower depending on the job, you know, like this 117. These STs are awesome bikes. My wife bought me that in March as a surprise for our anniversary. Sure did.
I mean, that's a really nice bike.
When we first started dating, this March will be 20 years. We first started dating. I sold my Saline Mustang for her to go to college to get a nursing degree. So she's always told me she's gonna buy me another Mustang. Well, I don't need a Mustang. I love Harleys, you know.
Yeah.
And I wanted another Traveler, you know.
Yeah.
So she bought this for me. I just rode to Daytona 3 weeks ago.
Oh, did you?
Yes, sir.
Really?
I love it. It's a great bike.
Yeah.
Poured down rain all the way there. It was.
Did it?
Yeah, it was awful. The rain, but oh man, it was beautiful when we get down there.
Yeah.
I tell everybody, it's one of the best things you can do is just get out and take the bike and go somewhere. Go for a ride.
Yeah, that's what I love doing.
Actually, this was done by Kendall Johnson or Zach Johnson originally. So a couple years ago, we took and we did some upgrades to the supercharger. We got rid of the intercooler, retuned it. Now it's getting handlebars, changing the bars on it, and service just a few small things on it. A little oil leak on the bottom of it's developed. But he's a really nice guy. Keeps it super clean too. He's got 2 of these Pro Charge bikes.
Okay. Kendall Johnson still doing work?
No, I don't think so. Not anymore. No, they're out of Winston-Salem, and Kendall kind of retired. And if you remember, he was on the Discovery Channel. Stuff,
yep, that's where I know him from.
Over.
Yeah.
And I've never met Zach. I really don't know him well. I don't know him at all, honestly. But I think he's went, from what I was told, went to being a lineman. But which is a wonderful career, obviously. Yeah. But he done good work. I can tell you, he done a lot of really high-end bikes. He was really specialized in the really high-end.
He was the man. I mean,
yeah.
I remember that whole biker build-off thing. That was he was the go-to guy for building engines stuff. Which is your bike here?
Well, the white one you passed is mine.
Right.
This black one is right here. It's mine with a motor on it right now.
Yeah, that's the one I saw last year.
So I'm never getting rid of that bike. That's
Tim showed me that one.
So we've got some big dings for that one. This one here has been running for the last 2 years with a 132 cubic inch motor in it, and it made 180 horsepower, 188 actually. And I ride it on the street. So we're removing the ABS now, lightening it up. We're doing a different ECU on it. I got a new set of wheels for it, and I'm not going to run it hot rod bagger anymore. I think I got some good friends of mine that now run that class, and I want them to do it. So I'm going to go on and build a big motor. So it'll be a 148 cubic inch motor in this one too. It'll be pump gas. I'm gonna be able to ride it from here to Daytona, or ride it. This bike's been ridden Key West before, so I want to ride this bike to Florida and be able to run a low 10-second pass and ride it back. That's what I want to be able to do. So I don't want to go too crazy with it, but we right now can make 190 some horsepower on pump gas. You can ride them on the street pretty much. Not every day, and generally I tell everybody, if you want to push 180 plus 190 horsepower bike, you need 2 bikes. You need something that's your long distance bike, and not because they break down all the time. It's just you don't need to be. You don't need an expensive build like that and be in your primary, motorcycle, unless you're not into long distance riding or anything like that. Yeah. So
tell me about that tank.
That's actually done. Southern Boy Baggers down in Fayetteville did that, and I like it. I just thought it was kind
beautiful,
of call it a European look. It's got dust all over right now.
Yeah, no, it's great.
This is we call it Leroy. This was my. My grandfather started the business in 1966, the Harley dealership at Collier's, and in the old wooden building he had out back, which was when I was a little kid, had just the chalkiest concrete floor you've ever seen in your life. He had a black snake fall out of the attic onto his neck while he was in there working, and we still got some customers that still were there, and still, actually, a good friend of mine, Doug Newby's out of Smithville, Virginia, he was in the building when it happened. Well, over the years, this black snake became bigger and bigger in the tail, and by the time my grandfather was called up, it was an anaconda, put it that way. I thought it was a fitting name for a black motorcycle that gets a new motor in it all the time. I'm always trying to make more power. This one here was our shop bike for our 131 combo. We did this. We tried dozens of cams, dozens of different compression ratio combos. I mean, incredible amounts of work on this thing. It's got a ton of miles on the dyno, put it that way. But it was for a reason. We've got a normal 130 build that we do for customers in mid 160 horsepower range. You can ride it anywhere in the world, and we've proven that. You can go anywhere, you can do anything with it. It's a wonderful kit, it runs great. Our combination depends on what different exhaust cams and lots of different items. But for general builds, it's a very stable engine. Yeah. And this was one of them that we ended up going to a little bit bigger at a 132 eventually. And it actually made 188 horsepower this year. And the motor, I didn't disassemble the motor. We actually sold the motor and put it in another bike for a gentleman. And he's still riding it now. There's nothing wrong with it. But we started, we want to build a 148 for this one and ride it on the street. So. Yeah. Well, there's a couple in here. There's like that Road King, Road Glider. There's a Road King over here. They're 148. So you can do that. 4.5 inch bore motors. They still run relatively on pump gas well. If you get traffic or something like that, they're a little bit hotter than you would want to be, so you wouldn't want to set them in DC traffic, sit still and stuff like that. So people that have them a lot of times got them for a purpose, so they want to play with them, and You know, but this bike is fun. This is the bike that does the wheelies. I mean, this thing.
Oh, yeah?
I love this bike.
Wow.
I tell everybody I would sell all my motorcycles without this one. This one ain't going nowhere. So I got a set of lightweight wheels to go on it, and this has already got ceramic wheel bearings and stuff in it and all. Matter of fact, we're disassembling it. That's why it's up here. That's why it's got just a junk wheel on it right now.
Okay.
But I love this bike.
So what are they? So what do you call it?
Galfer, the rotors.
Okay.
Oh, I love Galfer rotors. These all my bikes got Galfer rotors on.
Cool.
It's got worldwide bearings in it. They're amazing bearings. If you ever need the best wheel bearings in the world.
Oh yeah.
Worldwide, yes sir. They're not cheap.
Yeah.
But they're incredible, and they last. A lot of people think they're just for racing. They are not.
Yeah.
They work great on street bikes. Tons of miles on them, and they work great.
Cool.
As long as they're set up right, taken care of, put in good. We use a Sun and Press Fit lube when we install bearings here, which is like $30 bottle lube, but it works really good for bearings.
Wow.
And on these right here, there's worldwide. You can tell when you put them in your bike. Like right now, if you're in the shop, you put your feet down and push your bike, you can coast across the floor. You're incredible the difference in them.
Yeah.
So get better gas mileage and performance out of them. But for us, we do it for trying to be fast, you know. This thing's got a 400-watt sound digital amp. We still got ground zero speakers in the front, so it's not. When I was racing this bike all this time, it's not a race bike. You can ride it. We got a strap on it, but I even got it set up so I can release the strap, ride it all day long.
Okay.
Fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just ones that are getting in the middle of processing or either going out. Like we bore our own cases, so like right now, until we do our second building, all of our machines, most of our machines are at my house. So I have a bore bar, we have bore own cases with our own cylinders. All of our heads are done either by Ward or T-Man, pretty much, and they both do excellent work. So I would see no reason for us to take on anything like that, and there's no reason for it. So what we do is we stock and inventory them. So we keep them here so we can do jobs, we can do them quicker, don't have to take down long. We have our own cylinders and that we do, and that's pretty much what these are here for. Getting ready to get in.
Cool.
Yes sir.